Fast Eddie Pedmore is a legendary figure whose story has become an integral part of the folklore in Northwest Georgia. Born in the early 20th century, Eddie's life was marked by a series of extraordinary adventures that captivated the hearts and minds of those who heard his tale. Growing up in a small town, he was known for his charm, charisma, and a spirit of adventure that set him apart from his peers. Eddie's early years were filled with the kind of youthful exuberance that often leads to mischief, but it was his passion for life and the people around him that truly defined him. As he navigated the challenges of his environment, Eddie became a symbol of resilience and determination, embodying the spirit of the region he called home. Eddie's life was not without its share of heartache. He experienced profound love and devastating loss, which shaped his character and fueled his adventurous spirit. His relationships, particularly with those he loved, were marked by deep emotional connections that resonated with the community. These experiences of love and loss became woven into the fabric of his story, making it relatable and poignant for those who heard it. Eddie's adventures took him across the rugged landscapes of Northwest Georgia, where he encountered both the beauty and the harsh realities of life. His escapades often involved daring feats and encounters with nature that showcased his bravery and tenacity. The impact of Eddie's story on local folklore cannot be overstated. As tales of his exploits spread, they transformed into legends that were passed down through generations. The community embraced Eddie not just as a person but as a symbol of the adventurous spirit that defines the region. His story became a source of inspiration, encouraging others to pursue their dreams and face their fears. The themes of love, loss, and adventure that permeate Eddie's life resonate deeply with the values of the community, making his narrative a timeless reflection of the human experience. In the context of Northwest Georgia's rich history, Eddie's life serves as a reminder of the resilience and strength of the human spirit. The region itself, with its rolling hills and vibrant culture, provides a backdrop that enhances the allure of Eddie's story. As viewers delve into the details of his life, they will discover not only the unique aspects of his character, but also the historical context that shaped him. From the challenges of the Great Depression to the social changes of the mid-20th century, Eddie's journey is intertwined with the broader narrative of American history. As we explore the life of Fast Eddie Pedmore, we invite viewers to engage with a story that is both entertaining and enlightening. The combination of adventure, romance, and the trials of life creates a tapestry that is rich in emotion and meaning. Eddie's legacy lives on in the hearts of those who share his story, reminding us all of the power of love and the importance of embracing life's adventures. Through this exploration, we aim to capture the essence of Eddie's life and the indelible mark he left on Northwest Georgia, ensuring that his story continues to inspire future generations. Factor is a meal delivery service that has gained significant attention for its ability to cater to the needs of busy individuals seeking convenient and nutritious meal options. In today's fast-paced world, many people find it challenging to maintain a balanced diet while juggling work, family, and personal commitments. Factor addresses this issue by providing fully prepared meals that are not only delicious but also designed to meet various dietary preferences and nutritional goals. This service is particularly relevant for those who want to eat healthily but lack the time or energy to cook from scratch. With Factor, individuals can enjoy the benefits of home-cooked meals without the hassle of grocery shopping or meal prep. One of the standout features of Factor is its commitment to convenience. Each week, customers can choose from a diverse menu that includes a variety of meals tailored to different dietary needs, such as keto, calorie smart, and other health-focused options. This flexibility allows users to select meals that align with their personal nutrition goals, making it easier to stay on track with their dietary plans. The meals are delivered right to the doorstep, ready to heat and eat, which is a game-changer for those with busy schedules. Whether you're a working professional, a parent managing a household, or a student balancing classes and extracurricular activities, Factor provides a practical solution that saves time without sacrificing quality. Maintaining nutrition goals can be a daunting task, especially when life gets hectic. Factor simplifies this process by offering meals that are crafted by chefs and nutritionists, ensuring that each dish is not only tasty but also nutritionally balanced. This means that individuals can enjoy flavorful meals while still adhering to their dietary restrictions or health objectives. For example, those looking to lose weight can benefit from the calorie-controlled options, while athletes or fitness enthusiasts can choose meals that are higher in protein to support their training regimens. By taking the guesswork out of meal planning, Factor empowers users to focus on their health and wellness without the stress of planning and preparing meals. Another significant advantage of using Factor is the variety it offers. With a rotating menu that changes weekly, customers can explore new flavors and cuisines without the monotony that often comes with traditional meal prep. This variety not only keeps mealtime exciting but also encourages individuals to try new foods and ingredients, which can lead to a more diverse and balanced diet. Additionally, Factor's meals are designed to be satisfying and fulfilling, helping to curb cravings and reduce the temptation to reach for unhealthy snacks. By providing delicious options that align with nutritional goals, Factor supports users in making healthier choices consistently. For those who struggle with meal planning, Factor serves as an excellent solution. The service eliminates the need for extensive grocery lists, time-consuming meal prep, and the stress of figuring out what to cook each day. Instead, users can simply select their meals for the week, and Factor takes care of the rest. This streamlined approach not only saves time but also reduces food waste, as customers receive precisely what they need for their meals. Furthermore, the convenience of having meals ready to go means that individuals are less likely to resort to fast food or unhealthy takeout options when they're pressed for time. Encouraging viewers to consider Factor as a solution for meal planning is essential, especially for those who prioritize their health but find it challenging to maintain a balanced diet. By highlighting the convenience, nutritional benefits, and variety that Factor offers, individuals can see how this service can fit seamlessly into their lifestyles. Whether you're looking to lose weight, gain muscle, or simply eat healthier, Factor provides a practical and enjoyable way to achieve those goals. The ease of having nutritious meals at your fingertips can lead to better eating habits and overall well-being. Moreover, Factor's commitment to quality ingredients further enhances its appeal. The meals are made with fresh, seasonal produce and high-quality proteins, ensuring that customers receive the best possible nutrition. This focus on quality not only supports individual health but also aligns with a growing trend towards mindful eating and sustainability. By choosing Factor, individuals can feel good about what they're putting into their bodies, knowing that they are making informed choices that benefit their health and the environment. In addition to the practical benefits, Factor also fosters a sense of community among its users. Many customers share their experiences and favorite meals on social media, creating a supportive network of individuals who are all striving to improve their health and wellness. This sense of belonging can be incredibly motivating, encouraging users to stay committed to their nutrition goals. Factor's presence on social media platforms allows for engagement and interaction, making it more than just a meal delivery service. It becomes part of a lifestyle that promotes health and well-being. As we delve deeper into the relevance of Factor for busy individuals, it's important to recognize the broader implications of maintaining a healthy diet. Good nutrition plays a crucial role in overall health, impacting everything from energy levels to mental clarity. By providing convenient meal options, Factor helps individuals prioritize their health without adding extra stress to their lives. This is particularly important in a society where chronic health issues are on the rise, and many people are seeking ways to improve their well-being through better eating habits. In conclusion, Factor stands out as a valuable resource for those looking to simplify their meal planning while maintaining their nutrition goals. With its convenient, chef-prepared meals, diverse menu options, and commitment to quality ingredients, Factor offers a practical solution for busy individuals who want to eat healthily. By encouraging viewers to consider Factor as a part of their meal planning strategy, we highlight the importance of making informed choices that support a balanced lifestyle. In a world where time is often limited, Factor provides a pathway to better nutrition, allowing individuals to focus on what truly matters, living life to the fullest while taking care of their health. Eddie Pedmore's upbringing was shaped by a complex tapestry of family dynamics, societal challenges, and personal interests that would ultimately define his legendary status in Northwest Georgia. Born into a modest family, Eddie was the son of hardworking parents who faced their share of struggles. His father, a once promising mechanic, fell victim to the grips of alcoholism, a battle that would cast a long shadow over Eddie's childhood. The effects of his father's addiction were profound, creating an environment fraught with tension and uncertainty. Eddie often found himself navigating the emotional turmoil that accompanied his father's struggles, which not only affected their family life but also influenced Eddie's perception of resilience and determination. Growing up in a household where alcohol was a constant presence, Eddie witnessed firsthand the destructive nature of addiction. His father's inability to maintain steady employment due to his drinking led to financial instability, forcing the family to make sacrifices. This instability created a sense of urgency in Eddie, instilling in him a desire to escape the cycle of hardship that plagued his family. Despite the challenges, Eddie's mother worked tirelessly to provide for her children, embodying strength and perseverance. Her unwavering support became a cornerstone of Eddie's upbringing, teaching him the value of hard work and the importance of family bonds. The juxtaposition of his father's struggles and his mother's resilience shaped Eddie's character, instilling in him a deep sense of empathy and a drive to overcome adversity. The era of Prohibition, which lasted from 1920 to 1933, further complicated Eddie's family situation and the broader community in which he lived. As the government sought to curb alcohol consumption, the ban on alcohol led to a rise in illegal activities, including bootlegging and organized crime. For Eddie's family, Prohibition exacerbated the challenges they faced. His father's alcoholism was not merely a personal struggle. It was intertwined with the societal changes brought about by Prohibition. The allure of illegal alcohol became a temptation for many, including Eddie's father, who found himself drawn into a world of secrecy and shame. This environment of desperation and illicit activity created a backdrop of instability that Eddie had to navigate as he grew up. In the midst of these challenges, Eddie found solace and inspiration in automobiles and mechanics. From a young age, he exhibited a fascination with cars, often spending hours tinkering with engines and learning the intricacies of machinery. This interest was not just a hobby. It became a refuge for Eddie, a way to escape the turmoil of his home life. The garage became his sanctuary, where he could immerse himself in the world of mechanics and find a sense of control that was often lacking in other areas of his life. As he honed his skills, Eddie developed a reputation as a talented mechanic, earning the respect of those in his community. His passion for automobiles would later play a significant role in shaping his identity and adventures, providing him with opportunities to break free from the constraints of his upbringing. Eddie's early experiences with cars also served as a catalyst for his dreams of adventure and exploration. The open road represented freedom and possibility, a stark contrast to the confines of his home life. He often envisioned himself behind the wheel, traveling to new places and experiencing life beyond the limitations of his small town. This yearning for adventure was fueled by the stories he heard from travelers passing through northwest Georgia, tales of distant lands and thrilling escapades. Eddie's imagination was ignited, and he began to dream of a life filled with excitement and discovery, far removed from the struggles he faced at home. As Eddie navigated the complexities of his upbringing, he learned valuable lessons about resilience and determination. The challenges posed by his father's alcoholism and the societal impact of Prohibition instilled in him a sense of responsibility and a desire to forge his own path. He understood that he could not change his family's circumstances, but he could control his own destiny. This realization became a driving force in Eddie's life, motivating him to pursue his passions and seek out opportunities for growth and adventure. In addition to his mechanical skills, Eddie's experiences with his father's struggles fostered a deep sense of empathy for others facing similar challenges. He became a source of support for friends and neighbors who battled their own demons, often lending a listening ear or offering assistance. This compassion would later define his character, as he became known not only for his mechanical prowess but also for his willingness to help those in need. Eddie's upbringing, marked by hardship and resilience, shaped him into a figure who would ultimately become a legend in his community. As Eddie transitioned into adolescence, his passion for automobiles continued to flourish. He began to take on more significant projects, restoring old cars and even building custom vehicles from scratch. This hands-on experience not only honed his skills but also provided him with a sense of accomplishment and pride. The garage became a hub of creativity, where Eddie could express himself and channel his energy into something productive. His reputation as a skilled mechanic grew, and he began to attract attention from local car enthusiasts and potential customers. The impact of Prohibition on Eddie's community was palpable, with many families grappling with the consequences of alcohol-related issues. Eddie's experiences allowed him to connect with others who faced similar struggles, fostering a sense of camaraderie among those who sought to rise above their circumstances. He became a beacon of hope for many, demonstrating that it was possible to overcome adversity and pursue one's passions despite the challenges life presented. In conclusion, Eddie Pedmore's upbringing was marked by a series of challenges that shaped his character and fueled his ambitions. Growing up in a household affected by his father's struggles with alcoholism, Eddie learned valuable lessons about resilience, empathy, and the importance of pursuing one's passions. The societal impact of Prohibition further complicated his family dynamics, but it also provided Eddie with a unique perspective on the world around him. His early interest in automobiles and mechanics became a refuge, allowing him to escape the turmoil of his home life and dream of a brighter future. These formative experiences laid the groundwork for Eddie's legendary status in Northwest Georgia, as he transformed his challenges into opportunities for growth and adventure. After the death of his father, Eddie Pedmore found himself at a crossroads, faced with the harsh realities of life in Northwest Georgia during the Prohibition era. With his family struggling to make ends meet and the weight of responsibility resting heavily on his shoulders, Eddie made the difficult decision to step into the world of bootlegging, a path that would ultimately define his legacy as Fast Eddie. This transition was not merely a means of survival. It was a way for Eddie to assert control over his life and carve out a future for himself amidst the chaos that surrounded him. Eddie's entry into bootlegging was a natural progression from the tumultuous environment of his upbringing. Having witnessed his father's struggles with alcoholism and the impact of Prohibition on their family, Eddie understood the complexities of the underground alcohol trade. He had seen firsthand how desperate circumstances could drive individuals to take risks, and he was determined not to let his family's legacy be one of failure. With a keen sense of the local landscape and an innate understanding of the people in his community, Eddie quickly adapted to his new role, taking over his father's connections and operations in the bootlegging business. One of Eddie's most significant assets was his natural talent for driving. From a young age, he had developed a passion for automobiles, spending countless hours honing his skills behind the wheel. This talent would prove invaluable in the world of bootlegging, where speed and agility were essential for evading law enforcement and rival bootleggers. Eddie's ability to navigate the winding roads of Northwest Georgia with precision and confidence earned him a reputation as one of the best drivers in the area. As he began to make a name for himself in the bootlegging business, he quickly adopted the moniker Fast Eddie, a title that would become synonymous with his daring escapades and remarkable driving skills. Eddie's rise to fame as Fast Eddie was not just about his driving prowess. It was also a reflection of his charisma and ability to connect with others. He quickly established himself as a key player in the local bootlegging scene, forging alliances with other bootleggers and gaining the trust of those who operated within the underground economy. His charm and quick wit made him a popular figure, and he was often sought after for his expertise in navigating the dangerous world of illegal alcohol distribution. As Eddie's reputation grew, so did his ambitions. He began to expand his operations, taking on larger shipments and venturing into new territories, all while maintaining a careful balance between risk and reward. The dynamics of the bootlegging operation were complex and fraught with danger. Eddie quickly learned that the world of illegal alcohol was not just about making quick money. It was a high-stakes game that required careful planning and strategic thinking. He had to navigate a web of rival bootleggers, corrupt law enforcement officials, and the ever-present threat of violence. The risks were significant, and Eddie understood that one misstep could lead to dire consequences, not only for himself but also for his family and associates. This reality forced him to become a shrewd operator, constantly assessing the risks and rewards of each decision he made. Eddie's operations involved a network of trusted individuals who helped him transport and distribute the illegal alcohol. He relied on a small team of drivers and lookouts, each playing a crucial role in ensuring the success of their endeavors. Communication was key, and Eddie developed a system of signals and codes to alert his team to potential dangers. The camaraderie among his crew was palpable, as they shared a common goal of making a living in a world that offered few legitimate opportunities. Eddie's leadership style fostered loyalty and trust, and his team was willing to take risks alongside him, knowing that he had their backs. Despite the thrill of the bootlegging business, Eddie was acutely aware of the moral implications of his actions. He grappled with the knowledge that he was contributing to a cycle of addiction and crime, yet he also saw himself as a provider for his family and community. Many of his customers were individuals who, like his father, struggled with alcoholism, and Eddie found himself torn between the desire to help them and the reality of his chosen path. This internal conflict added depth to Eddie's character, as he navigated the complexities of his life as a bootlegger while trying to honor his father's memory. As Eddie's reputation as Fast Eddie grew, so did the risks associated with his operations. Law enforcement agencies ramped up their efforts to crack down on bootlegging, leading to increased tensions between bootleggers and the authorities. Eddie found himself in a constant game of cat and mouse, using his driving skills to evade capture, while also staying one step ahead of rival bootleggers who sought to undermine his operations. The thrill of the chase became a defining aspect of his life, and Eddie relished the adrenaline rush that came with each successful delivery. However, the dangers of the bootlegging world were ever present. Eddie witnessed firsthand the consequences of failure, as friends and associates fell victim to violence or imprisonment. These experiences served as stark reminders of the precarious nature of his chosen path, and Eddie often reflected on the fine line between success and disaster. He understood that while he had the talent and charisma to thrive in this world, the risks were always looming, and he had to remain vigilant to protect himself and those he cared about. Eddie's journey into bootlegging was not just about survival. It was also a quest for identity and purpose. As he navigated the challenges of this dangerous world, he began to redefine himself, moving beyond the shadow of his father's struggles and forging his own legacy. The moniker Fast Eddie became a badge of honor, representing not only his driving skills, but also his resilience and determination to succeed against the odds. He became a symbol of hope for others in his community, demonstrating that it was possible to rise above adversity and carve out a place for oneself in a world that often seemed unforgiving. In conclusion, Eddie Pedmore's entry into the world of bootlegging after his father's death marked a significant turning point in his life. Taking over his father's role in the bootlegging business, Eddie embraced the challenges and risks that came with it, leveraging his natural talent for driving to establish himself as Fast Eddie. The dynamics of the bootlegging operation were complex, requiring careful planning and strategic thinking, but Eddie's charisma and leadership skills allowed him to navigate this dangerous world successfully. As he rose to fame, Eddie grappled with the moral implications of his actions while also seeking to honor his father's memory. Ultimately, his journey into bootlegging became a defining chapter in his life, shaping his identity and legacy in the annals of Northwest Georgia folklore. Eddie Pedmore's life was not solely defined by his adventures in bootlegging. It was also deeply intertwined with a love story that would leave an indelible mark on his heart. His relationship with Lily Mae was a beacon of hope and joy amidst the chaos of his tumultuous life. They met in their teenage years, both drawn to each other by a shared sense of adventure and a longing for something greater than their circumstances. Lily Mae, with her bright smile and infectious laughter, brought light into Eddie's world, a stark contrast to the shadows cast by his father's struggles and the dangers of the bootlegging business. Their connection blossomed quickly, and it wasn't long before they began to dream of a future together, one filled with love, stability, and the promise of a life beyond the confines of their small town. Eddie and Lily Mae often spent their evenings under the stars, sharing dreams of what life could be. They envisioned a future where Eddie would leave behind the dangerous world of bootlegging and pursue a legitimate career, perhaps as a mechanic or even opening his own garage. Lily Mae dreamed of a cozy home filled with laughter and children, a place where they could build a life free from the struggles that had defined their childhoods. Their plans were ambitious, yet they felt attainable in the warmth of each other's company. Eddie often found solace in Lily May's unwavering belief in him, and her support fueled his desire to change his life for the better. They were young and in love, believing that together they could overcome any obstacle. However, the idyllic nature of their relationship was soon overshadowed by tragedy. One fateful evening, as Eddie was preparing for a particularly risky bootlegging run, he received a frantic call from Lily May. She had been out with friends, and a confrontation had erupted at the local tavern. Eddie rushed to the scene, his heart pounding with fear for her safety. When he arrived, he found chaos. A fight had broken out, and in the midst of the turmoil, Lily May was caught in the crossfire. Despite the best efforts of those around her, she succumbed to her injuries that night, leaving Eddie shattered and heartbroken. The loss of Lily May was a devastating blow, one that left a void in his life that he struggled to fill. The dreams they had shared now felt like cruel reminders of what could have been, and Eddie was consumed by grief and guilt. In the aftermath of Lily May's tragic death, Eddie's world spiraled into darkness. He found himself grappling with overwhelming emotions, questioning everything he had ever known. The vibrant future he had envisioned with Lily May was replaced by a haunting emptiness. He became a shell of his former self, drowning his sorrows in alcohol and reckless behavior. The once charismatic Fast Eddie was now a man haunted by loss, struggling to find meaning in a life that felt irrevocably altered. The community that had once celebrated his daring escapades now looked upon him with pity, and Eddie felt increasingly isolated in his grief. As Eddie navigated the depths of his sorrow, he became embroiled in a web of suspicion and deceit. Sheriff Harding, a figure who had long held a grudge against Eddie due to his bootlegging activities, saw an opportunity to rid the town of what he perceived as a menace. With Lily May's death still fresh in the minds of the townsfolk, Sheriff Harding began to manipulate the narrative surrounding the tragedy. He painted Eddie as a reckless criminal whose lifestyle had ultimately led to Lily May's demise. The sheriff's vendetta against Eddie intensified, and he sought to frame him for her murder, believing that it would serve as a warning to others involved in the illegal alcohol trade. The investigation into Lily May's death was marred by corruption and bias, with Sheriff Harding leading the charge against Eddie. Evidence was fabricated, and witnesses were coerced into providing false testimonies that painted Eddie as a violent and unstable individual. The sheriff's relentless pursuit of Eddie culminated in an arrest that shocked the community. Eddie found himself facing charges that he could never have imagined, accused of murdering the woman he loved. The very people who had once admired him now turned their backs, swayed by the sheriff's narrative and the weight of public opinion. Eddie's trial became a spectacle, with the townsfolk divided between those who believed in his innocence and those who were convinced of his guilt. The courtroom was filled with tension as Eddie sat in silence, grappling with the reality of his situation. He knew he was innocent, yet the evidence against him seemed insurmountable. The pain of losing Lily May was compounded by the betrayal of a system that he had once trusted. As the trial unfolded, Eddie's heart ached not only for the love he had lost but also for the life that had been stolen from him by the very people who were supposed to protect him. In the midst of the turmoil, Eddie's friends and allies began to rally around him, determined to uncover the truth behind Lily May's death and the sheriff's machinations. They worked tirelessly to gather evidence that would exonerate Eddie, delving into the circumstances surrounding the tragic night and the events that had led to Lily May's death. As they pieced together the puzzle, it became clear that Sheriff Harding had acted out of malice, driven by a desire to eliminate Eddie from the community once and for all. Despite the overwhelming odds stacked against him, Eddie refused to give up. The memory of Lily May fueled his determination to fight for justice, not only for himself but for the love they had shared. He began to reclaim his identity, channeling his grief into a quest for truth. With the support of his friends, Eddie slowly began to piece together the evidence that would ultimately lead to the sheriff's downfall. The journey was fraught with danger, as they faced threats from those who sought to protect the sheriff's interests, but Eddie's resolve only grew stronger. As the trial reached its climax, the truth began to emerge. Witnesses who had initially been intimidated by Sheriff Harding came forward, revealing the extent of his corruption and the lengths he had gone to frame Eddie. The tide began to turn, and the community that had once turned against Eddie started to rally behind him, recognizing the injustice that had been perpetrated. The courtroom became a battleground for truth and redemption, and Eddie's story transformed from that of a suspected murderer to a man wronged by a corrupt system. In the end, Eddie was exonerated, but the victory felt bittersweet. The love he had lost could never be replaced, and the scars of his experiences would remain with him forever. The tragedy of Lily May's death and the subsequent betrayal by Sheriff Harding had changed him irrevocably. Eddie emerged from the ordeal a different man, shaped by grief, loss, and the fight for justice. While he had reclaimed his freedom, the memory of Lily May lingered in his heart, a constant reminder of the love that had once filled his life with hope and joy. In conclusion, Eddie Pedmore's love story with Lily May was a beautiful yet tragic chapter in his life. Their dreams for the future were shattered by her untimely death, which plunged Eddie into a world of grief and despair. The subsequent framing by Sheriff Harding added layers of complexity to Eddie's journey, forcing him to confront not only the loss of his beloved but also the corruption that threatened to destroy him. Through it all, Eddie's resilience and determination to seek justice became a testament to the enduring power of love, even in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Following the tragic death of Lily May, the pursuit of Eddie Pedmore, known as Fast Eddie, became a relentless endeavor for Sheriff Harding and his deputies. The sheriff, fueled by a personal vendetta and the desire to rid the town of what he perceived as a criminal element, employed a variety of tactics to capture Eddie. The narrative surrounding Eddie had shifted dramatically. He was no longer just a local bootlegger, but now a fugitive accused of murder. The stakes were high, and the sheriff was determined to bring him to justice, even if it meant bending the rules. Sheriff Harding's tactics were multifaceted and often ruthless. He utilized a network of informants within the community, offering rewards for information leading to Eddie's capture. The sheriff's deputies were instructed to patrol the roads and back alleys, keeping a watchful eye for any sign of Eddie or his distinctive vehicles. They set up roadblocks and checkpoints, hoping to catch him off guard. The sheriff also spread rumors about Eddie's whereabouts, attempting to sow distrust among Eddie's friends and allies. This strategy aimed to isolate Eddie, making it more difficult for him to find safe havens or support within the community. In addition to these conventional methods, Sheriff Harding resorted to intimidation tactics. He threatened those who were known to associate with Eddie, warning them that harboring a fugitive would lead to severe consequences. This created an atmosphere of fear, as many in the community were torn between their loyalty to Eddie and their apprehension of the sheriff's wrath. The pressure mounted, and the sheriff's relentless pursuit began to take a toll on Eddie's friends, who found themselves caught in the crossfire of a corrupt system. Despite the intense pressure from law enforcement, Eddie's cleverness and resourcefulness allowed him to evade capture time and again. Drawing on his extensive knowledge of the local terrain and his experience as a bootlegger, Eddie became adept at navigating the backroads and hidden paths of northwest Georgia. He often used decoys, leaving behind vehicles that had been modified to look like his own, leading the sheriff's deputies on wild goose chases. Eddie's ability to think on his feet and adapt to changing circumstances became his greatest asset in the face of danger. Eddie also relied on the support of his loyal friends, who provided him with safe houses and information about law enforcement movements. They understood the stakes involved and were willing to risk their own safety to help him. This network of allies became crucial in Eddie's efforts to stay one step ahead of the law. He would often communicate with them using coded messages, ensuring that he remained informed about the sheriff's plans and any potential threats. This level of resourcefulness not only showcased Eddie's intelligence, but also highlighted the deep bonds he had forged within his community. As the pursuit continued, the legend of Fast Eddie began to grow among the locals. Stories of his daring escapes and clever maneuvers spread like wildfire, transforming him into a folk hero in the eyes of many. People began to romanticize his life, viewing him as a symbol of rebellion against a corrupt system. The sheriff's heavy-handed tactics only fueled this narrative, as more and more individuals began to question the motives behind the law enforcement's relentless pursuit. Eddie's reputation as a skilled driver and cunning strategist became the stuff of legend, and he was often depicted as a modern-day Robin Hood, fighting against the injustices of the world. The local taverns and gathering spots buzzed with tales of Eddie's exploits. Patrons would recount how he had outsmarted the sheriff's deputies during a high-speed chase, weaving through narrow country roads and evading capture by mere inches. These stories, while exaggerated, served to elevate Eddie's status within the community. People began to see him not just as a fugitive but as a man fighting for his freedom and the memory of Lily May. The more the sheriff tried to vilify him, the more the community rallied around Eddie, creating a sense of solidarity among those who believed in his innocence. Eddie's cleverness extended beyond mere evasion. He also began to use the media to his advantage. As the pursuit gained attention, he would occasionally leak information to sympathetic journalists, painting a picture of himself as a victim of circumstance rather than a cold-blooded murderer. This strategic move helped to sway public opinion in his favor, further complicating Sheriff Harding's efforts to capture him. The sheriff found himself not only battling Eddie, but also fighting against a growing tide of public support that viewed Eddie as a misunderstood figure caught in a web of corruption. As the months passed, the pursuit of Fast Eddie became a defining saga in Northwest Georgia. The sheriff's obsession with capturing him only intensified, leading to increasingly desperate measures. He began to employ more aggressive tactics, including surveillance and undercover operations, hoping to catch Eddie off guard. However, Eddie's resourcefulness and the loyalty of his friends continued to thwart these efforts. The sheriff's frustration grew, and the community's support for Eddie only solidified, creating a palpable tension between law enforcement and the townsfolk. Eddie's ability to evade capture became a source of pride for many in the community. They saw him as a symbol of resistance against a system that had failed them, and his legend continued to grow. The tales of his daring escapes and clever strategies became woven into the fabric of local folklore, inspiring songs, stories, and even local art. Eddie had transformed from a mere bootlegger into a cultural icon, representing the struggle for freedom and justice in a world that often felt unjust. However, the relentless pursuit took its toll on Eddie. The constant fear of capture weighed heavily on him, and the loss of Lily May lingered in his heart, a reminder of the life he had once envisioned. The thrill of the chase was often overshadowed by the pain of his circumstances, and Eddie found himself grappling with the emotional scars left by his experiences. Despite the growing legend surrounding him, he remained a man haunted by loss and the consequences of his choices. In conclusion, the law enforcement's pursuit of Fast Eddie after the murder of Lily May was marked by a series of intense and often ruthless tactics employed by Sheriff Harding and his deputies. However, Eddie's cleverness and resourcefulness allowed him to evade capture, transforming him into a folk hero among the locals. The growing legend of Fast Eddie became a symbol of rebellion against a corrupt system, inspiring tales of his daring exploits and clever maneuvers. As the saga unfolded, Eddie's journey became a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The pursuit of Fast Eddie was not just a story of a fugitive. It was a reflection of a community grappling with its own struggles and the quest for justice in a world fraught with challenges. The dramatic crash that ultimately led to the deaths of Eddie Pedmore and Sheriff Harding was the culmination of a high-speed chase that had been brewing for months, fueled by tension, desperation, and a relentless pursuit of justice or vengeance, depending on one's perspective. The chase began on a fateful afternoon when Eddie, having evaded capture for an extended period, found himself cornered in a remote area of northwest Georgia. Sheriff Harding, determined to finally bring Eddie to justice, had received a tip-off about Eddie's whereabouts and mobilized his deputies for what would become a tragic and chaotic confrontation. As Eddie drove through the winding back roads, he was acutely aware of the stakes. The sheriff's relentless pursuit had become a constant in his life, and he knew that capture would mean not only imprisonment but also the end of the fight for his innocence. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, Eddie pushed his vehicle to its limits, expertly maneuvering through the narrow, tree-lined roads that he had come to know so well. The roar of the engine echoed in his ears, drowning out the memories of Lily May and the pain of his circumstances. In that moment, all that mattered was the road ahead and the desperate need to escape. Sheriff Harding, fueled by a mix of determination and personal vendetta, was equally relentless. He had made it his mission to capture Eddie, viewing him not just as a fugitive but as a symbol of everything he despised about the lawlessness that had taken root in the community. As he pursued Eddie, the sheriff's deputies followed closely behind, their sirens blaring and lights flashing, creating a cacophony that reverberated through the quiet countryside. The chase escalated quickly, with both men pushing their vehicles to the brink, each determined to outmaneuver the other. The high-speed chase reached a fever pitch as Eddie took a sharp turn onto a less-traveled road, hoping to lose the sheriff in the dense woods. However, Sheriff Harding was undeterred, his focus unwavering as he followed closely behind. The tension in the air was palpable, and the stakes had never been higher. Eddie's heart raced as he glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing the sheriff's car gaining on him. He knew that one miscalculation could lead to disaster, yet the thrill of the chase propelled him forward. As they barreled down the winding road, the landscape blurred around them, a dizzying mix of trees and sky. Eddie's instincts kicked in, and he expertly navigated the treacherous terrain, but the sheriff was relentless. In a moment of desperation, Eddie made a split-second decision to take a shortcut through a narrow path that cut through the woods, hoping to gain the upper hand. However, the path was fraught with danger, and as he veered off the main road, the ground beneath him shifted unexpectedly. In that instant, everything changed. Eddie's vehicle hit a patch of loose gravel, sending him careening out of control. The world around him spun as he fought to regain control, but it was too late. The sheriff, who had been hot on his tail, was unable to react in time. The two vehicles collided with a deafening crash, metal crumpling and glass shattering in a violent explosion of sound. The impact was catastrophic, and the force of the collision sent both cars spiraling into the trees, leaving a scene of devastation in their wake. The tragic outcome of the crash was immediate and devastating. Both Eddie and Sheriff Harding were trapped in their vehicles, their lives hanging in the balance. The sound of sirens soon filled the air as other deputies arrived on the scene, but the damage had been done. Despite their best efforts to extract the two men, it quickly became apparent that the injuries sustained in the crash were severe. Eddie, once known for his speed and agility, lay motionless in the wreckage, while Sheriff Harding struggled to breathe, his body pinned beneath the crumpled metal of his car. As news of the crash spread through the community, the implications were profound. The deaths of both Eddie and Sheriff Harding sent shockwaves through northwest Georgia, leaving residents grappling with a mix of emotions. For many, Eddie had become a folk hero, a symbol of rebellion against a corrupt system. His tragic end was met with sorrow and disbelief, as people mourned the loss of a man who had fought so hard for his freedom and innocence. The community that had once rallied around him now found itself divided, caught between grief for a life lost and the complexities of the circumstances surrounding his death. Sheriff Harding's death, on the other hand, elicited a different response. While some viewed him as a dedicated lawman who had been trying to uphold justice, others saw him as a figure of oppression, a man who had pursued Eddie with a personal vendetta. The sheriff's death sparked debates within the community about the nature of justice and the lengths to which individuals would go to protect their own interests. Many questioned whether the sheriff's relentless pursuit of Eddie had ultimately led to his own demise, and discussions about accountability and the role of law enforcement became central to the community's conversations in the aftermath of the crash. As the days turned into weeks, the legacy of both men began to take shape. Eddie's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of living outside the law and the tragic consequences that could arise from a life of rebellion. Memorials sprang up in his honor, with locals sharing stories of his daring exploits and the love he had for Lily May. The community mourned the loss of a man who had become a part of their folklore, a figure who had embodied the spirit of adventure and resilience. In contrast, Sheriff Harding's legacy was more complicated. While some mourned the loss of a dedicated public servant, others viewed his death as a consequence of his own actions. The sheriff's pursuit of Eddie had been marked by questionable tactics and a personal vendetta, and many began to question the integrity of the law enforcement system that had failed both men. The community found itself at a crossroads, grappling with the complexities of justice, morality, and the impact of their choices. In the end, The dramatic crash that led to the deaths of Eddie Pedmore and Sheriff Harding served as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the consequences of a world steeped in conflict. The high-speed chase, fueled by desperation and a desire for justice, ended in tragedy, leaving a community to grapple with the loss of two men whose lives had been intertwined in ways that would forever shape their stories. Eddie's legacy as Fast Eddie would live on in the hearts of those who remembered him, while the complexities surrounding Sheriff Harding's pursuit would continue to spark conversations about justice and accountability in the years to come. The crash marked the end of an era, a tragic conclusion to a tale of love, loss, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. The aftermath of Eddie Pedmore's tragic death marked a significant turning point for both his legacy and the community of Whitfield County. In the wake of the high-speed chase that claimed the lives of Eddie and Sheriff Harding, the narrative surrounding Eddie transformed dramatically. No longer just a fugitive or a bootlegger, Eddie became a symbol of resilience, rebellion, and the complexities of justice in a world that often felt unjust. His story began to weave itself into the fabric of local folklore, capturing the imaginations of residents and inspiring a new generation to reflect on the themes of love, loss, and the fight for truth. Eddie's life and the circumstances surrounding his death quickly became the subject of countless stories, songs, and legends. Locals gathered in taverns and community centers to share tales of Eddie's daring escapades, his love for Lily Mae, and the tragic events that led to his demise. The narrative evolved, with Eddie portrayed as a misunderstood hero who had fought against a corrupt system. The sheriff's relentless pursuit of Eddie was recast as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked authority and the consequences of living outside the law. As the story spread, Eddie's character took on a mythical quality, embodying the spirit of rebellion that resonated deeply with the community. The transformation of Eddie's story into local folklore was not merely a romanticization of his life. It also served as a means for the community to process their grief and anger over the events that had transpired. Many residents felt a sense of injustice regarding Eddie's treatment by law enforcement, and the folklore surrounding him provided an outlet for those emotions. The tales of Eddie's cleverness, his love for Lily Mae, and his tragic end became a way for the community to reclaim his narrative, turning him into a figure of hope and resilience rather than a mere criminal. In the months following Eddie's death, efforts to clear his name posthumously began to gain momentum. Friends and supporters who had rallied around Eddie during his life were determined to honor his memory by seeking justice for the wrongs he had suffered. They organized meetings, gathered evidence, and reached out to journalists to shed light on the circumstances surrounding his life and the events leading up to his death. The narrative that had painted Eddie as a murderer was challenged, and those who knew him best began to speak out about his character, his love for Lily Mae, and the corruption that had plagued the sheriff's office. These efforts culminated in a grassroots movement aimed at exonerating Eddie and restoring his reputation. Supporters held rallies, sharing their stories and memories of Eddie, emphasizing his humanity and the love he had for his community. They sought to highlight the discrepancies in the investigation that had led to his wrongful portrayal as a criminal. As more people became aware of the truth, the tide began to turn. Local newspapers started to publish articles that questioned the sheriff's motives and the integrity of the investigation, further fueling the movement to clear Eddie's name. The push for justice gained traction, and as the community rallied behind Eddie's legacy, it became clear that the events surrounding his death had sparked a broader conversation about accountability and the role of law enforcement in Whitfield County. The tragic outcome of Eddie's life and the subsequent fallout forced residents to confront the systemic issues that had allowed corruption to flourish. Many began to demand greater transparency from law enforcement and called for reforms to ensure that no one else would suffer the same fate as Eddie. As the community grappled with the implications of Eddie's story, societal changes began to take root in Whitfield County. The conversations sparked by Eddie's death led to increased scrutiny of law enforcement practices, with residents advocating for more oversight and accountability. Town hall meetings became a platform for discussing the need for reform, and community members began to engage more actively in local governance. The tragic events surrounding Eddie's life served as a catalyst for change, prompting residents to take a stand against corruption and demand a more just system. In the years that followed, Eddie's legacy continued to evolve. The stories of his life became intertwined with the ongoing efforts for justice and reform in Whitfield County. Eddie was no longer just a figure of local folklore. He became a symbol of the community's resilience and determination to fight for what was right. His story inspired a new generation of activists and advocates who sought to challenge the status quo and ensure that the voices of the marginalized were heard. The impact of Eddie's death also extended beyond the borders of Whitfield County. His story resonated with individuals across the region, sparking discussions about the broader issues of justice, accountability, and the complexities of law enforcement. Eddie's life and legacy became a rallying point for those who believed in the importance of standing up against injustice, and his story was shared in various forums, from community gatherings to social media platforms. As Eddie's narrative continued to unfold, it became clear that his legacy was not just about the man himself, but also about the changes he inspired within his community. The tragic events surrounding his life and death served as a reminder of the importance of empathy, understanding, and the need for systemic change. Eddie's story became a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity for communities to come together in the face of adversity. In conclusion, the aftermath of Eddie Pedmore's death had a profound impact on his legacy and the community of Whitfield County. His story became a part of local folklore, transforming him into a symbol of resilience and rebellion against a corrupt system. Efforts to clear Eddie's name posthumously gained momentum, sparking conversations about accountability and justice within the community. The societal changes that followed were a testament to the power of Eddie's story, inspiring residents to advocate for reform and challenge the status quo. Eddie's legacy lived on, not just as a tale of love and loss, but as a catalyst for change, reminding the community of the importance of standing up for what is right and just. Eddie Pedmore's story is a compelling narrative that encapsulates the complexities of love, loss, and the relentless quest for justice. His life, marked by both triumphs and tragedies, serves as a poignant reminder of the human spirit's resilience in the face of adversity. To fully appreciate the significance of Eddie's journey, it is essential to recap the major events that shaped his life and their profound impact on the community of Northwest Georgia. Eddie's story began in a modest household, where he faced the challenges of growing up with a father who struggled with alcoholism. This difficult upbringing instilled in him a sense of empathy and a desire to rise above his circumstances. As he navigated the trials of his youth, Eddie developed a passion for automobiles and mechanics, which became a refuge from the turmoil of his home life. His early years were characterized by a longing for adventure and a determination to carve out a better future for himself. The turning point in Eddie's life came with his relationship with Lily Mae, a love that blossomed amidst the chaos of his surroundings. Their dreams for a future together were tragically cut short when Lily Mae was killed in a violent confrontation, leaving Eddie devastated and consumed by grief. This loss marked a significant shift in Eddie's life, propelling him into the world of bootlegging as he sought to escape his pain and assert control over his destiny. The pursuit of a life filled with adventure quickly turned into a fight for survival as he became embroiled in a dangerous game with law enforcement. Eddie's rise to notoriety as Fast Eddie was fueled by his natural talent for driving and his cleverness in evading capture. However, the relentless pursuit by Sheriff Harding, who sought to frame Eddie for Lily Mae's murder, added layers of complexity to his story. The community became divided, with many viewing Eddie as a folk hero fighting against a corrupt system, while others saw him as a criminal. This dichotomy highlighted the themes of justice and morality that permeated Eddie's life, as he grappled with the consequences of his choices and the impact of societal perceptions. The tragic culmination of Eddie's story came with the high-speed chase that led to his death and that of Sheriff Harding. This event sent shockwaves through the community, prompting a reevaluation of the narratives surrounding both men. In the aftermath, Eddie's legacy began to take shape, transforming him into a symbol of resilience and rebellion against injustice. The stories of his life became woven into local folklore, inspiring conversations about accountability and the need for reform within law enforcement. Eddie's journey is significant not only for its dramatic events but also for the themes it embodies. Love, loss, and the quest for justice are central to his narrative, resonating deeply with those who have experienced similar struggles. Eddie's love for Lily May serves as a reminder of the power of connection and the impact of loss on the human experience. His fight for justice, both for himself and in the face of systemic corruption, highlights the importance of standing up for what is right, even in the face of overwhelming odds. As we reflect on Eddie Pedmore's story, it becomes clear that his life is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The community of Northwest Georgia, shaped by Eddie's experiences, emerged from the shadows of his tragedy with a renewed sense of purpose. The conversations sparked by his life and death led to meaningful changes, encouraging residents to advocate for justice and accountability in their own lives. In conclusion, Eddie Pedmore's story is a powerful narrative that encapsulates the complexities of love, loss, and the quest for justice. His journey from a troubled youth to a legendary figure in local folklore serves as a reminder of the impact one individual can have on a community. As we continue to share Eddie's story, we invite viewers to engage with this narrative and reflect on its significance in their own lives. If you found Eddie's story compelling and want to hear more about similar tales of resilience, love, and the human experience, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. By liking and sharing this video, you help us spread these important narratives and ensure that stories like Eddie's continue to inspire and resonate with others. Join us as we explore more stories that reflect the complexities of life and the enduring spirit of those who dare to fight for justice. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and we look forward to sharing more captivating stories with you in the future.
The Phantom Officer. In the quaint town of Millfield, Officer Frank Davis was both a figure of authority and a source of fear. Known for his aggressive enforcement of even the slightest infractions, his reputation preceded him. He had a penchant for pulling over drivers late at night for the most mundane reasons: broken taillights, speeding by just a mile over the limit, or even a slightly distracted glance at a passing billboard. His presence seemed to loom larger at night, when the shadows stretched longer and the quiet streets felt airy. One particularly stormy night, a waitress named Sarah was driving home after a long shift at the diner. The rain pelted her windshield, making visibility poor. As she turned onto a desolate road, she noticed headlights glaring from behind her. An unmarked police cruiser was tailing her closely, its silhouette menacing in her rear-view mirror. Anxiety gripped her, and she pressed the gas, trying to shake the car off her tail. Instead, the cruiser seemed to match her every move, its lights cutting through the darkness like a predator stalking its prey. After several agonizing minutes, Sarah's nerves got the best of her, and she pulled over, her heart pounding. She looked back, expecting to see the familiar figure of Officer Davis, but the cruiser was now nearly empty. A chill crept down her spine. Panic began to set in as she realized she was alone on this deserted stretch of road. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a text from a friend. "Did you hear about Officer Davis? He died 2 years ago in a crash on this very road." The realization hit her like a bolt of lightning. She had encountered the ghost of a cop who still enforced the law, even from beyond the grave. With her heart racing, she glanced around, half expecting to see him appear, ready to pull her over for a crime she hadn't even committed. The Corrupt Shield. Rookie Officer Alex Ramirez joined the police force with dreams of making a difference in his community. But after just a few months on the job, those dreams began to shatter. He admired his partner, Officer Mark Simmons, a seasoned cop with a reputation for being tough yet fair. However, as Alex began shadowing Simmons, he started noticing troubling behaviors, strange late-night meetings, unexplained cash deposits, and whispers among the higher-ups. During a routine investigation into a local drug ring, Alex stumbled upon incriminating evidence linking Simmons to the operation. Digging deeper, he discovered that Simmons was not just involved, he was the orchestrator, using his badge to intimidate rivals and eliminate competition. The realization was sickening. Alex had admired this man, but now he was faced with the shocking truth of corruption within the very department he had joined to uphold justice. When Alex confronted Simmons, the older officer's demeanor shifted from friendly mentor to cold predator. "You don't know what you're dealing with, rookie. Keep your mouth shut, or I'll make sure you regret it," he warned, his voice low and menacing. Alex felt trapped, aware that speaking up could not only end his career but possibly his life. In the following weeks, he gathered evidence, documenting everything he could. However, as he approached trusted colleagues for help, he was met with silence or veiled threats. Even the Internal Affairs Unit seemed compromised. It became clear that he was alone in this fight, and as he prepared to expose Simmons, he found himself targeted. One night, he was arrested on false drug charges, framed by his own partner and left to rot in a jail cell. With his world crumbling, Alex realized that to reclaim his life and expose the corruption, he would have to risk everything, including his own safety. The missing evidence. Detective Lisa Tren was known for her relentless pursuit of justice in a precinct rife with complacency. While investigating a series of high-profile robberies that had terrorized the city, she stumbled upon a hidden box in the evidence room, one that should not have existed. Inside were items tied to not only the robbery cases but also several unsolved murders, each piece hinting at a web of corruption that reached into the very heart of the department. Lisa's instincts told her that something was terribly wrong. As she pieced together the evidence, she uncovered links to several high-ranking officials, officers who were supposed to protect the community but were instead perpetuating the violence. It became clear that these crimes were not isolated incidents but rather part of a larger scheme, with officers colluding to cover their tracks and profit from the chaos. Fearing for her safety, Lisa took her findings to her superior, only to be met with disbelief and hostility. "You're imagining things, Lisa. This isn't the first time you've let your imagination run wild," he scoffed, brushing her off. Undeterred, she decided to dig deeper, believing that the truth must come to light. However, her investigations did not go unnoticed. Late one night, after a long shift, she returned to her car to find a threatening note taped to her windshield: "Stay out of things that don't concern you." Panic settled in as she realized the danger she was in. Her colleagues were watching her every move, and those who had once been allies now felt like enemies. In the days that followed, Lisa became increasingly paranoid. Each time she received a call, she felt the weight of a looming threat. She decided to reach out to a trusted journalist, hoping to expose the corruption publicly. But before she could meet, she received a call. Her contact had gone missing. With each passing day, the walls seemed to close in on her, and she wondered if she would be the next one silenced in a twisted game of power and deceit. The night shift. Sarah had just landed a job as a dispatcher at the local police station. Initially excited, she soon found the late-night hours unsettling. The station, often filled with bustling officers during the day, turned into a ghost town after dark. It was a different atmosphere, one charged with tension and secrets. One fateful night, Sarah received an emergency call from a panicked woman named Emily. The frantic voice on the line described a terrifying situation. She was being stalked by a police officer. "He's been following me for weeks, watching my every move. I'm scared, please help me," Emily pleaded. Sarah's heart raced as she tried to gather information. The woman described a squad car and a familiar badge number, one that Sarah recognized immediately. It belonged to Officer Jake, a popular figure